Hello, this is Susan Elliott, the News and Special Reports Editor for Musical America. Today we're talking to Jon Limbacher. Jon is the Managing Director of the Saint Paul Chamber Orchestra, but he's also president of the Arts Partnership in Saint Paul, which is a unique organization with 4 members: Saint Paul Chamber Orchestra, the Minnesota Opera, the Schubert Club, and the Ordway Center. Jon is going to tell us how these organizations had to come together in the early 2000s and how they have blossomed into a unique organization that could serve as a model for other arts groups to follow in this country. Hey, Jon. Thank you.
Hey, Susan. How are you?
Thank you for joining us. Saint Paul Chamber Orchestra is part of an arts partnership, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Of which you are the chairman.
Yeah, it's a rotating position. So
It is, I see.
Yeah, so we do the CEOs rotate as leader of the organization, kind of chief facilitator is how I would describe it. And I'm just finishing my my first year of my second term. So when I first got here, I served a 2-year term, and now I'm serving another 2-year term. So I have 1 more year.
Okay, and so it's the Schubert Club, the Minnesota Opera, you guys, and the Ordway Center.
That's right, yes. Yep.
So what is the purpose of the partnership now?
Yeah, it's really the same purpose as when it was created. So just, if I can, just 2 minutes on history.
Yeah.
The Ordway opened in January 1985. The resident arts organizations were the Schubert Club and the Opera, the SPCO, and of course the Ordway was the landlord. So from 85 to 2005, it was a state of dysfunction. We couldn't agree on the schedule. We couldn't agree on the rental rates. We couldn't agree on how to take care of the facility. And really the fundamental problem, Susan, was there was not enough money in the ecosystem, enough resources between the 4 organizations to effectively share the space and take care of the space. And so there was just a lot of bickering over resources. And in 2005, our board voted and the opera board voted to start looking for a new home.
And the person who came in initially, you say, was someone from the community that helped put it together, right?
There were some funders from the community, and when they learned of the possibility that the opera and SPCO might ultimately leave the Ordway, they stepped in. It was sort of a community intervention and said, you need to fix this. We'll help you fix it, because they recognized that if that had happened, it would have been fairly devastating to the Ordway as a venue and to downtown St. Paul. And to their credit, they didn't just say fix it. They provided support so that we could engage a consultant to really help us figure out what was the solution to this very, very challenging set of problems. The mission of the partnership is very straightforward. It's to effectively share the venue, and that includes taking care of the venue. And it's the foundation of it is a master agreement that really defines everything. It defines the rental rates, it defines the schedule, it defines how we're going to take care of the facility. And what's unique about that master agreement is effectively there is no landlord. We're just equal partners. We don't negotiate with the Ordway over rental rates. Those rental rates are defined in the master agreement. A scheduling template for the 2 halls is inviolable in the master agreement. It can't be violated. It can change based on mutual consent. And there's clear protocols for the decisions about how we're going to take care of the facility, how we determine priorities, how we authorize expenditures, and an acknowledgement of our shared responsibility. So all of that is germane today as it was back in 2007. And I think there's a couple of things about the partnership that are important to talk about. One is that what we've really done in the partnership is to go from bickering over limited resources to working together to create more resources to make it work.
But you also built a second hall, did you not?
Yes, that's part of the over 100 million. So that the building of the second hall, which is the SPCO's proud home, took pressure off the music theater. It didn't take all the pressure, but it took significant pressure off the music theater. But there's still the need for a master schedule and still potential scheduling conflicts. So I'm happy to say that we don't really have conflicts. We work with each other and figure things out.
And each of you maintains your own board.
Yep.
And your own fundraising prerogative.
Yes.
And your own staff and your own marketing and your own this, that, the other thing. So how do you, Jon, go out and raise money for the partnership and the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra? How do you?
Well, we're always
that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Susan. We're always raising money for the fifth entity, which is the Arts Partnership with a very specific mission. We're not trying to create a United Arts Fund where we're raising and redistributing. We're raising money because it's critical to making the partnership work. And the effective sharing of the space and taking care of this space. And so we do it as a partnership. And I think we've really established in the funding community's collective mind, that it is its own entity with its own mission. And so when we're out raising money for the partnership, we're doing it, usually the CEOs are doing it together. It's rare that one of us is out raising money for the partnership alone. We're usually doing it together.
If you think about how everyone is sort of struggling to sort of keep going, especially coming out of the pandemic, and then you look at this model is pretty astonishing. It's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is impressive. I think the four CEOs, my other colleagues, we all feel this sense of responsibility that we have this really unique, powerful collaboration that's making our organization stronger. We all view it as key to our futures, and that we have to do everything possible to sustain it and to keep it healthy.
So now we can switch over to St. Paul, and I am really curious to hear about this membership idea and how that's working. Instead of a subscription model, going into a membership model. That's fascinating. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and so just to be clear, we're not in any way discontinuing subscriptions. It's just one of the biggest challenges that we face, and I think pretty much across the performing arts, certainly in the orchestra world, is just the decline of subscriptions. Right. And it's a very, very big issue. It seems to have really accelerated as a result of the pandemic. And so I think a really, really big question is, well, what will replace subscriptions? Because subscriptions have been a way for us to efficiently get people to come to concerts and build a strong relationship with the organization and with the music. Subscribers are, the core of our donor base. I think that's the case of all orchestras. And so if that's declining, what's going to replace it? And membership is very, very simple and straightforward. For a monthly fee, you have the ability to come as many concerts as you want to come to. You can't always sit in the same seat. There's no guarantee of availability, but you have the right to. And so you don't have to, in April or May, determine 6 to 8 concerts that you're going to put on your calendar. You're just buying the right to come, and you can decide the day of if you want to, or the week of. And our membership right now is $9 a month. It hasn't been at the center of our audience development efforts, and we now believe, coming out of the pandemic, in what we think is a new normal, that it's time for it to be at the center of our audience development. So we're going to add levels, and we're going to put more resources behind it. And we have 1,500 members today. They come on average 8.5 times a year. And we see that membership base growing significantly in the years ahead. I think the average is about $16 that members are spending on concerts per concert. So it's meant to be, and I think this is an important point to make. We're really committed to affordability. It's an important part of our mission, and it's a really important part of our vision of being a great orchestra for everyone in the community. So affordability is a priority, and that $9 membership is one of the pillars of our affordability.
You also mentioned earlier that you were building your library of free streaming things to stream.
Yeah.
And how is that? Is that been since the pandemic, or were you doing that ahead of before then?
Yeah, no, we were doing it before the pandemic. We started in 2017, and with a vision of building a really significant concert library, video and audio. And we're continuing to do that and add to it. I think we have 124 videos, 24 pieces in the library today. Again, it's free for the community. It's intentionally free. We've never viewed this as some sort of opportunity to make money. It's always been about delivering on our mission. It's a very powerful way, if you think about it, a very, very powerful way to share music with people in the community. And that's really how we see it. The important thing about the Arts Partnership is that before we were in this collaborative organization and addressing these issues, it really was ultimately having an impact on what we could do for the community.